love for their craft. A close observation shows that social media has continuously been a contributory factor. The regular interface with imaginary audience creates a lot of tension and illusions by many of these artists. Recently, many of our favorite stars such as Ari Song, Wajay, Dija, and a host of others have been vocal about their battles with depression. PlusTvAfrica spoke to some key players such as a music executive and convener, Social Media Week Lagos, Obi Asika, and a mental health specialist, Dr. Kadiri Memuna, and a popular Nigerian actor, Arike Akinyoju, who has been vocal about her struggles with depression.
I think it is. Yes, especially in this part of the world that we belong to, Nigeria, fame here, I think is a major cause of depression.
Because human beings are unique, and because human beings are, we all have our personal journey. They are what we call vulnerability risk factors. People are already vulnerable in one way or the other, maybe from adverse childhood experiences, and then with fame, which is somehow as you grow, it may be a childhood fame, because sometimes you see some children, they grow into fame, while some people are deliberate and intentional into achieving fame. Famous people have to keep up with, entertaining us. Famous people have to keep up with a particular personnel. Famous people have to keep up with, with all the challenges, even if they are going through a lot. We do not want to see them down. We are following them for the things that we want to get from them. They are inspiring people, they're influencing people, they're empowering people, they're doing a whole lot. So whatever they may be going through, the society, we don't want to see that part of them, even if they know they may be going through that is it. So they have to just keep on being, that person we want to see.
We should not be calling talents celebrities. Yes, they have become celebrities, but they became celebrities because of their talents, because of what they do. They are not just celebrities because they exist. So everybody, from my experience in life, all creative people have challenges in terms of putting together their process. And every time, it's like anywhere in the world, if you don't hear of your favorite actor for 5 years, it's one of two things. It's just A, they're not working, and B, they're not at this point in time getting offers. So what I would say is that a lot of people, if you work in the entertainment industries, if you work in those spaces, you will know that it is a high stress, high anxiety business. So therefore, the people who are working in these businesses are constantly seeking for affirmation and for support to see them through what they're doing. So in that regard, if you're in the public eye and you're constantly having to keep up appearances, it can become very, very difficult, especially if things are not going as well as they used to go in the past.
There was a time in my life I passed through depression, but I think it's not because of my career. It's because naturally I'm not the type that, things people say get to. Fine, I feel concerned when they say things or they expect me to live in a certain way and I'm not living that life. I feel concerned and I feel like, but it doesn't really get to me. So if I ever had depression, it wasn't basically on my career level.
That would be great. In fact, that would really, 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 help in this advocacy that, have been blazing the trail in Africa, trying to change the narrative and let it be a movement for people to understand that mental health is as important as our physical health, if not more important. And for the fact that it's intrinsically linked to our physical health, we have to guard, protect, and prioritize our mental health at every given point in time. So if we start seeing the media and entertainment industry putting our mental health as part of their package, it may not necessarily be a department because that's a tall order, but ensuring that from inception, when they are setting up that business, they incorporate what we call an employees assistance program. It's a subtle way of inculcating mental health services within your organization. What that just means is that as a business owner and having artists and producing whatever you're doing in media and entertainment, you and your employees, or you and your gang, you and your group have a safe space where you have been able to build a culture of compassion that individuals in that organization can speak up, can speak out, can seek for help from professionals in rendering this employees assistance program.
I don't actually agree that record labels, entertainment companies, or businesses should actually be having mental health departments. I think mental health is a very, very specialized issue. What they should be doing is being aware of mental health and have mental health professionals that they can relate to if they have issues with any of their talents or clients. Unfortunately, for many years, it has always been stigma here. So people do not engage the topic and they don't discuss their problems. But definitely, a lot of talents and a lot of people in society have mental health issues and issues with depression and anxiety and other things of that nature. So it's important to relate to mental health professionals who can help when you have somebody or friends or family or clients or talents who have any issues at all. You could you could insist that your clients and your talents do have regular counseling sessions, do have relationships with counselors and psychiatrists that they can have conversations and unload and unbundle any issues they might have. The best thing anybody can do is to stay engaged with the talent. So the talent, and that means that understand and know your talent very well. Understand what makes them tick, what makes them click, when they are happy, to be happy, or to be in a stable state of mind and frame of mind to enable them to produce their best work. And that normally is, if you're doing that, that means that talent has a strong manager. Strong management is key. And that doesn't necessarily come from the label. That could come from the artist side, but the artist manager, the person that really interfaces every day with the artist. A lot of times the label is literally just there to provide distribution, retail, marketing, and finance.
One dominant recommendation is for this artist to live in their realities and not all about impressing fans who change loyalty at slightest disappointment by their so-called quasi-demigods, whose foibles are as real as any man on the street. The story of Michael Jackson, who died in 2009, and later Whitney Houston in 2012, are few of the sad reminders that despite fame and pageantry, one's mental health must not be ignored. Reporting for PlusTvAfrica, Ife Oshunkeye.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Usaiwa Mesale, and today I have the lovely Olamide Onifade, the lady lawyer.
Finally. Oh, I've not been here for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, finally.
Last week was a roller
Where have you been?
coaster for me. I
From
lost
the car drama.
that car drama. That one has been a long time. I lost 2 people very close.
You said so. You said so.
It was a tough one last week. And my daughter was very ill. My health too was very ill. So it was a very tough week for me last week.
But
was this time last
it
week.
is better, yeah?
Monday, I was on my way to Ogombo. I got back home past 12 because I just had to go and see the cops. Like, did it happen? You know what happened? The person who died is my mom's very, very good friend. And her daughter, only daughter, who stays in the United States, is my sister's best friend. So they've been friends for like 30 years. So she's like family. The mom is like family. And she's based in the US. And my sister is the best friend. So they told my sister, her mom called actually a day before. But we were at a party, so she could not pick up. My sister couldn't pick up, not knowing that she wanted to inform her she was very ill. So by the next day when she woke up, she saw the number again, and somebody picked her to say she's in the hospital. So she took her car and went to the hospital, stayed with her till about 4 p.m. She even had Greek yogurt. They made a video. Then my sister got there, did a video call with her daughter in the US. I see your mom now, and all that. She's fine. And they all laughed. And my sister got into her car. By the time she got to third mainland from Ikoyi, they called her that she had died. So she parked on the road, scattered. I just said, please. And I was also coming from the hospital with my daughter. So I said, just manage to come to the house. So by the time we got to the house, I had to start driving. By the time we got to the Ikoyi hospital, they said they are taking her cups, Muslims. And the sister and her friend, who was in the US, the only daughter, said, it can't be true. I just spoke to my mom now. Please follow the cop. I want to see it happen. Go and video her. Let me see. That's how we faced our house in Ogombo. We got there 9:30. Before we made the decision of to bury the next day or not to bury, I want to see my mom. I have to be there versus she's a Muslim. She has that Muslim culture, that religion. It's a tough one. No. The only child could not bury her mom, but she's right in the country now. She flew in. And for the 8 days for tomorrow.
Wow.
So that was how we had to make the plan for the burial. So she was committed to Mother Earth the next.
Wow.
It was very pathetic. I have never held a corpse. I held her. I was touching her hair. I was touching her hand. I was touching her leg. My sister was showing me the video she just made some few hours ago. Like, what happened?
I think she just wanted to go.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about death, I mean, we all heard the shocking death of, I think it was not only TB Joshua that died. One other pastor
another
in
redemption.
Port Harcourt, I think. Another pastor passed on, We saw your very touchy post on social media, Elsie Godwin.
She knows TB Joshua. That your pastor? Are you serious? I've never met anybody that goes to the synagogue. Are you kidding? Oh, so sorry about that.
May so rest in peace. I mean, this weekend has been a lot of...
I was telling you before we came on now, I felt all the emotions this weekend, from very happy to very sad to any emotion you can think of. I felt
death
this
was
weekend.
very sudden and shocking. And no, I saw it in the middle of the night, Saturday stroke Sunday, and I said, this cannot be true.
Yeah.
I thought it was not
That's
true.
everybody's reaction. First reaction. This
in the morning, someone called me and said, did you? I said, it can't be true. He said, it's true. The church has issued a statement. I said, wow. So anybody can pass out. Pass on at any time.
Anybody.
This life is too fragile.
There's
better start spending your money, enjoying yourself.
Oh God.
It's true.
Just live your life.
I'm telling you,
just live your life. That's it. All right, so today, there's nobody that have not seen the drama happening on social media with Twitter. So that's our conversation tonight. And here's what we found as today's quote. The internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow. That's from Bill Gates. I'll just move right into the conversation.
But we are going out of the town square.
All right, so the suspension of Twitter, a leading microblogging platform, has begun to take its toll on the struggling Nigeria's economy, leading to a loss of about 7.5 billion in the past 3 days. So how, you might ask, that's a question we are also asking. Franklin Ozekome is here to discuss the implications of the Twitter ban. But first, let's take a break for what we found in the news. World Food Safety Day, that's WFSD, celebrated on the 7th of June, aims to draw attention and inspire action to help prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risk, contributing to food security, human health, economic prosperity, agriculture, market access, tourism, and sustainable development. Now, this year's theme, Safe Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow, stresses that production and consumption of safe food has immediate and long-term benefits for people, the planet, and the economy, recognizing the systematic connections between the health of people, animals, plants, the environment, and the economy will help us meet the needs of the future. So food safety is one big deal, especially in Nigeria.
It is.
Very big deal.
It is.
Have you seen how they handle some of our food produce from the farmlands? You know, when you see it, you will not eat some food. I mean, I was talking, was it last week? I was saying to you how somebody was spraying a milkish substance on tomatoes, you know, just to drive ward off the flies, you know. So, I mean, food safety is a big deal. It's a very big deal. So a lot of people are dying of sicknesses that they really trace it. If you are really doing those autopsy and all of that, you can actually trace it back to what you're consuming, what you're buying from the markets.
Being a Nigerian is a risk in every area of life.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
It's a total risk.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we just have to be extra careful when it comes to whatever it is that we're buying from the market, the open markets, you know, especially when we want to now start to take maybe fresh vegetables and all of that. Just be careful, honestly. If you can, we've said it, grow it behind your house.
Yes.
If you can.
How many people can?
That's the thing. If you can, just try.
Oh, because you are a farmer.
Yeah, it's easy for me to say.
How many people can? Even when you decide to grow, how much of it can you grow?
Absolutely. All right, so who are we starting with?
I'm ready to start though.
Okay, please, go ahead. Elsie.
So, the Nigerian government has given condition to lift the ban on Twitter. They say the Twitter will be restored only when responsible communication can be assured on the platform. The Foreign Minister, Geoffrey Onyema, said the condition would be, of course, responsible use of social media, stating that the decision is key to maintaining security in the country. Now, my only question is, what is responsible use of social media? Who will have the responsibility to
check the
check
responsible
it?
use? That's NBC.
Is it, which NBC?
It's NBC.
Is it that we cannot criticize the government? Is that responsible use? Or we cannot say anything bad about Nigeria? Is that responsible use? Or when we see something and it's bad, we say, no, don't put it on Twitter. Let's go to Facebook. Is that the responsible use? I mean, they need to, of course, they'll come out to tell us what they agreed after all their backdoor meetings, and we are waiting. I don't know how long it's going to take, but
in all honesty, I think the social media thing, a lot of people think is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I wish the government did it right. It's not really so much of a bad thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
There can never be a total freedom on anything. I think we're gradually migrating towards when, not just Nigeria, I think the United Nations, we need to sit down to see the framework of how we're going to maintain national security against freedom of speech and human rights when it comes to social media, because it is too free, and there has to be a measure of regulation. But coming from the kind of government that we have, because it's already an oppressive government, nobody can ever trust anything to come out of that government. Why are you squeezing your face? Am I lying?
You know,
it's an oppressive
on one hand, you're saying you're supporting what they did. In another hand,
I didn't say that.
I don't understand.
No.
See,
I know you are a Madam Twitter.
Hold on. I'm not a Madam Twitter. I'm a digital person. So yes, it's across board. It's not just Twitter. But the point is, if you're saying what they are doing is acceptable,
No.
then it also takes away all the conversation we are having. I like how you
see,
said
that's not what I
no,
said.
Hold on. I like how you said that they didn't do it right. My next question to you was going to be, how would they have done it right? Because as far as I'm concerned,
Me,
there is
I'm a
no
businesswoman.
basis.
Wait, Elsie,
I'm
are
a
you saying there
no
shouldn't be
basis for
any...
what they have done right now.
I'm not saying
At the moment.
Hold on, Uwa. I am not saying what they did at this moment is right. But what I am saying is that the United Nations, in conjunction with all the nations, must sit down and have a deliberation on social media.
No, of course, that should be done.
Because whatever has
But,
good impact has negative impact.
Of course.
positive
Me,
impact.
what me I'm looking at is figures.
How do you mean?
They say we are losing 7.2.
Of course,
Hold on,
they can't
2.5
shut it
billion.
down.
Do you
They
understand? You
can't
don't get my
ban it.
no. You don't even get my point. I
Yes.
wish the government was thinking.
Oh,
It
are
is
they
how
thinking?
can we transfer that money that it is us that is earning that money? Because for Nigeria to stop to be banned from Twitter and we're losing 2.5 billion naira per day. Do you know what that means? Do you understand?
I'm not an
So
economist.
me, I wish
I've
the
been
government
trying
was
to
just
figure
thinking.
my head around how we have,
Yeah, well, that's why
In
we
terms
have
of
the
data
guest.
subscription and
That's
all
why we
that.
have the guest.
It's so
All right,
sad.
so let's take your story.
I'm completely overwhelmed, and I hope they resolve it as soon as possible.
Well, I hope so
So
too.
this government
Good
is
luck
very
to them.
thoughtless. Very
They will
thoughtless.
resolve it on their own pace.
It's only a failed government that will take the route.
The stance they're taking.
Why would you do a complete ban because they deleted the tweet? That's too.
They say that is not the
That's
They
a
say that's not
weak
the only reason.
response
the vice. What is this?
to Nigeria's corporate existence. Okay, my story, I had to deviate from anything Twitter because
Please.
the whole of today
It's
has
Twitter.
just been, my head is just, is overwhelmed. So I had to look for a softer story.
No problem.
And this is in Kano, Governor Ganduje just made an executive order that every civil servant that is found to have any qualification in education should be seconded to secondary schools and primary schools to teach. While I see it as a laudable development, I will also say that education, to be a teacher, comes with a passion. So for the fact that I studied law doesn't make me a good lawyer, or I have an interest to
Teach law.
or want to practice as a lawyer. For the first few years I went into private practice, I wasn't successful at what I was doing because I didn't know my area of strength. I thought I could practice every area of law. But it got to a stage I sat down and I said, what is my passion? And I found it, and ever since then, so...
Madam property.
Yes.
And family law.
And family law,
Yeah.
which is very novel. Quite a lot of people say, why would you just... And I love it, and I'm thriving in it. Do you understand? So it's not everybody that studied education that wants to...
That will make a good teacher.
So how is this going to translate into quality education to those children? Because they'll just find themselves in the classrooms.
And this is, you see, let me tell you something. I don't like when our leaders try to be politically correct. Because when somebody sees this, oh, it's a laudable project, it's this, it's that. And you see, they're not thinking. Because the fact that I'm
Even
fantastic.
when they're thinking, they won't tell.
Do you understand?
they
The
won't tell
fact that I'm fantastic, I'm a good mathematician, I can calculate,
Doesn't mean
I can
I
pass
can
my
transmit the
exams.
knowledge.
I cannot transmit that
Yeah.
knowledge. That teaching skill must be innate in you. I mean, my husband, I used to tell him that if you're not doing what you're doing, you should just go and sit down inside one lecture hall. Because he's a fantastic
Lecturer.
teacher. He can break down things for you. You will never forget. If my husband teaches you something, you will never forget about it. Because he knows how to use illustrations. Those are the kind of teachers we need. So you can't just wake up and say you want to bring 5,000 civil
5,000
servants
of them.
because they studied education
Yes,
and throw them
and
into
they-
the
no,
classrooms. It's
no,
wrong.
no, it's
I mean,
not
these are the
gonna
things that we keep saying. So when we go on Twitter and say it,
Now,
they will say,
ban.
well, my story is quite interesting. I picked this story because it's not all doom. A lot of times, we citizens, we must talk to ourselves. I mean, it's not all the time that government. So the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing says federal government spends about 3.8 billion on repairs of bridges due to vandalism. I mean, this is very, very absurd. This is something that we keep saying, that even when government is doing things, right, we will carry ourselves. Will go and destroy public properties, and it's still money they would use. And that's one of the biggest things I didn't really like with the NSAS protests, the destruction of properties, because at the end of the day, it's still back to our money they will use to fix it. So Babatunde Raji Fashola said that says over 3.8 billion is being used to repair 4 bridges damaged by vandals and petrol-laden tankers. Now, this part is what I do not get. Remember, there's always fire on Otedola Bridge. There's always fire at that Kara Bridge. He mentioned those
Otedola Bridge.
You understand? He mentioned those two bridges. So my question to them is, especially for the let's leave the vandals aside. The vandals, let's find a way to apprehend them. But this petrol tanker carrying petrol that's always breaking down, especially Otedola and that Kara Bridge, what can be done? Is it that we cannot channel it through insurance or something and hold the owners of those tankers responsible? What can we do? Because we cannot use federal government money to keep fixing, you understand, to keep fixing something that has been fixed already.
By somebody else.
The issue is the transportation for me. Why should they always
It's supposed
have
to be via rail.
Yeah.
I know.
So
it's supposed to be via rail, but there are insurance policies.
You said?
It takes us back to infrastructure.
Yes, Nigeria's problem is in multifold that you cannot isolate one. It's multifaceted. Thank you. That was the language I was using. So you can't isolate one. One is not insulated from the other. It's all intertwined.
Sometimes you can't even say where are we starting
I'm telling you. So where do you want to start from? You just go around in circles.
See, Kara Bridge. So look at it now. Otedola was about 203 million naira being used to repair. Kara Bridge, 605 million naira being used to repair. Then there's a bridge at Tamburawa Bridge in Kano, was damaged by illegal mining activities, was also repaired with 1.8 billion naira. For goodness sake. This is, I mean, these things are clearly avoidable. The money should have been channeled to something else.
Other area.
You know, so I thought to mention this, that whilst we're accusing or whatever government, this government, that let's talk to ourselves. What's the answer?
The answer is a government, not this government, but because as far as I'm concerned, government is one, is in continuum, whether you were there or not. Any government that has failed to invest in education will always have problems in every so of their life. So that would always be the problem, because all these people, they are poverty,
they're enlightened, they will not do what they're doing.
Our problems are a lot, and it all stems from lack of education. So
okay. That's all we'll take. When we return from the break, we'll be discussing Twitter. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
The Breakfast, where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we have borrowed.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the two vehicles that were completely burned. This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel security structure. A multiple core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No.
Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
Thanks for staying with us now. Nigeria's decision to suspend Twitter at first indefinitely but later temporarily could backfire for the government and cost the country economically in terms of new investment into its technology sector. Now, the ban may threaten Nigeria's status as one of the best performing African countries in attracting investment for technology startup businesses. Now, according to NetBlocks, a watchdog organization that monitors cybersecurity and governance of the internet, each hour of social media gagging costs Nigeria about $250,000. So if you approximate that, that's about 102.5 million naira. Now, bringing the daily loss to about 2.5 billion. It means the economy would have lost approximately 7.5 billion in the past 3 days. The suspension has already created a market access gap for millions of small and medium-scale businesses that use the platform to reach their customers. Now, this could potentially complicate the challenges COVID-19 and other structural defects had imposed on the businesses already struggling. Now, also, the e-commerce market in the country isn't left out, as an estimated $12 billion loss might hit the sector. So what's the implication of this ban on our digital economy and advertising? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Tweet at us at WadeShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WadeShow, or you send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081 803-84663. Sorry, there's no Twitter. Just WhatsApp.
WhatsApp DM us on Instagram.
The thing that, you know, it's automated in my head.
Send a DM on Instagram.
Please, DM on Instagram. I didn't say Twitter. Please, send us SMS and WhatsApp. I could wrote it in my script, but you know when you think is in your head. But let me quickly hear from Lami and Elsie before I bring in our guests. In a minute, what do you think this implication is? When I saw the numbers, it was alarming for me. 2.5 billion naira daily.
But I really want to hear Lami from the legal angle.
What the government has done, as far as I'm concerned, it's illegal. And what really put me off was when the Attorney General, I think the NBA has to sanction this Attorney General. And I think he's one of the worst Attorney Generals we have
ever had.
Attorneys General, rather, that we have ever produced in Nigeria. It's so incompetent. How can you say that the violators of the Twitter ban, when they arraign them in court, they will now know
the law that
is it possible? Because it is in the Constitution, I think Section 39 or so, that you cannot be arrested and arraigned in court until you know what your offense is. So, as we speak, the offense has not been created because, as far as I'm concerned, there is no law backing it up. The legislature has not made a law. It's just an executive order. So what is the legality for that? How can you then arraign people in court and they will now find out what their offense is? And he said it with his full chest.
Yes, so with his full chest.
Libras
Oshoma has said that he's ready. Libras Oshoma said he's ready to defend all the people they would arrest for free.
For free. Yes. No, because it's a very, what would I say? Elementary matter. You know, even a second-year law school student would defend all these violators, so to speak, violators. Because as we speak, there is no offense as we speak. It's just an executive order. Then you cannot, well, if they create it, yes, maybe, but not as we speak. So if I still violate it this night, they cannot do anything.
It became more interesting for me when I saw the circular from the
NBC, yes.
Instructing us, which is why we are not using, you can't tweet at us today, that we cannot reference Twitter or pick any news from there or use it as an image and all that. And my question now is it fight? Is it now that deep? Like, you're making it look like Twitter killed somebody and you have to stay away from it.
No, they're trying
and
to
if you
make
touch
a
it,
statement.
Which statement? So it's becoming more irritating as far as I'm concerned, but I'd love to hear.
I'd love to hear from the guests, but you know, quickly, you know, on social media, on Twitter, I still saw major newspaper, major news platforms.
They didn't deactivate their account.
They are still tweeting.
Why should you force them to? They have a right. They have a right of assembly, association, and of speech, and to receive information. So how can you compel me to deactivate it?
Okay, so let me bring in our guests.
Before you bring in the guests, I also would love us to touch on the advertising. I mean, I think that's part of the places that the monies are running away from, right? So what impact it's having on digital marketing as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely, because that's why we even brought Franklin. Franklin is here to talk about the economic angle of the matter. So Franklin Ozekome has led multidisciplinary teams through the development of innovative services and products from conception to realization. He collaborates with connection partners, planners rather, data scientists, strategists, project managers, and entrepreneurs to design future-forward marketing toolkits, programs, and strategy playbooks for applied innovations and business transformation in the SSA market. Ozekome is passionate about trends, research, consumer intelligence, and cultural foresight. He is a creative mind behind Think Africa, that's Trends Plus Intelligence Network, and B School, a strategy and innovation academy for marketing and creative professionals. And he's joined us live in studio with a lovely hairdo. Thank you so much. A creative hairdo.
Very great.
Your hair did, yeah. A creative hairdo. So, Franklin, it's such an honor to have you here with us this evening. So, for us, having this conversation is more of, you know, trying to open the minds of probably our leaders that are watching, and for us young people, where there are opportunities. Because when I saw 2.5 billion naira Biko, I want to create my own platform. It's the money that is calling me. Yes. You know, because for me, when I saw that 2.5 billion naira loss on a daily basis, I never would have equated Twitter to be making that much money, right? So maybe you should help us, show us the money. What exactly is happening, and how is this disrupting the advertising and the digital economy, you know, the ban on Twitter?
All right, thank you very much. It has a very, what I call an adverse effect on the digital advertising, because we're talking about millions of conversations that go on every single day. And because of that, as a microblogging platform, it has attracted a lot of brands, individuals, startups, SMEs, venture capitalists, different kind of people just trying to express themselves within a certain amount of content. You're talking about, 40 plus, words. Now you don't have to. You don't have to put a lot of investment in just expressing yourself. So even if you have one piece of article, let's say 5,000 words, you could have and process it in about 15 to 16 pieces of Twitter form, and the engagement is more enriching. The comments are what people actually look at. The feedback, the interaction, the engagement, right or wrong, you have a right to express yourself, and that's what Twitter helped to democratize access to, form of. Before then, it was long form of listening. That was when blogging was huge. You don't hear about bloggers anymore. They've all, crushed to, visual forms, which is Instagram, video form, which is YouTube, and then microblogging platform, which is Twitter, and now they've taken that away. Now, what's the impact? Of course, it's huge for brands. First of all, they have to find an alternative, whether you like it or not, which is where those micro dollars are going to go. Now, it doesn't just affect advertisers. There's always an ecosystem around advertising. There are those that produce content, those that put in the content, those that measure and apply and analyze, and all of the other stakeholders within that value chain. They are all affected. And of course, there are also people in that value chain that, need those forms of expression to also make things happen for them. So you're talking about between 7 to 8 different stakeholders on that platform. We're talking about the visible one, the brands. They're the guys that advertise those brands. They're the guys that produce those brands. They're the guys that write those brands. So if you're looking at the structure, you're talking about content writers, visual artists, producers, those on the background that create all of those things, the research firms, those that check for sentiments and analysis, all of that, poof. Where are they going to go to? That's the question. That's on the one end. The other end is, what's the future of microblogging, as it were? Even if the ban was lifted, there's this scare that will be there. It could also happen to Instagram, which is what people, it could happen to YouTube. Facebook. So what would happen? That's what brands will start asking their consultants. What can I do to ensure that this does not, all of the campaigns that have been planned for the past 3-4 days that have all been disrupted. Now, those agencies will lose that money. The brands will lose visibility, awareness. The research firms will lose sentiments and all of the things. Even the government itself has lost touch with what's happening real time with its own citizenry. And then you have to ask yourself, why would it do that? It was a platform for them to have responded in kind, engaged, and even probably put a Twitter poll and said, okay, we said this, you didn't like it. How do you think we should have expected? Yes or no? And use that as a form of communication. That's the whole idea. You engage. You might not like what I say, but that's conversations. So all that is lost
So
now.
do you think maybe the government, they want to take us back to traditional? You can bring your money to us, TV, because it seems like, you know, from what you explained, it seems like they prefer the local channel. Let us just go to
because
switch on channel 408.
They can always use NBC to gag
yes.
the TV stations, and that's what they really
Yeah.
want to do. But talking about brands, really, the sector I would maybe want to use as an example now would be the banks. And we know our experience with banks and going in there for customer service and all that. And it has even gotten to a point where people will tell you if you want them to get your issues resolved on time,
just go
tweet at them and it will be resolved. But if you keep going into their building from now till tomorrow, they might not respond to you. But because of that brand perception that they also want to uphold, they will always respond to you. Yes. So what is going to happen to the space? I don't know if you have banks in your portfolio now that you're working with. What is their reaction? How are they handling the situation? And what is the impact as well to customer experience?
Yeah, we're creating alternative avenues. I think one of the key things you said is when there's a happen, you can respond real time, and the customer feels good. They heard me. They heard what I have to say. Now both parties have lost out on their account because of another party. What's going to happen is the other platforms we have are going to have a huge boost. A lot of influx of funds are already going to there, but it cannot be business as usual. So, for example, Instagram will not just be able to just run, you know, visual stuff. We have to start looking for creative ways to share content. So you're going to see a lot of rooms being created for things like WhatsApp, clubhouses. There are going to be private rooms created with special invites to people. So if you don't have access or a coupon or a code, you can't have access to those rooms. You're going to have a lot of stuff happening on the black web, where, or you're monitoring us. All right, we're going to be on the web, but you're not going to see what's happening. Twitter was a form of expression where you could see what's going on with certain boundaries. Now they're going to still do what you say they're not going to do, but now you don't have access. You don't even know what's going on. So the conversations are going to happen, but you don't know what's going on. And that's the ingenuity of innovation. So this is going to happen. But for brands with credibility, and you know, we need to see what's happening above a certain level. Other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook will attract more visibility, but not in the same form. So content format is going to change. You're going to see more micro seconds things, you know, like 30 seconds, 1 minute. Visual form used as content, if you know what I mean. Yes, so Twitter was text-based, words, but now we're probably going to have that same form in the visualized format. So you're going to see a lot of videos coming up. Those that are visual artists and into production, you're going to see a lot of investment in brands in visual form of communication. Those that can also now start creating multimedia messages on smartphones. You know, we usually use it for text and stuff, but now multimedia messages will come being the next big thing, where you can send emojis, you know, context, upload documents as well while sharing one or two things. So those are the things that will jump up in the short form. In the long form, people will start creating alternative platforms like what I've mentioned, where it's only by invitation, and they can monitor, track who is coming to that places, so they know who you are and you have credibility. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to gather data, insights, and use those things as well to curate special experiences, products, and services. And we can't do that if we just have different kind of people entering that experience. The benefit for why we do brand advertising is because we need to amplify what's happening in culture. And you can't just start talking and, you know, creating or curating experiences if you don't know how to use those experiences and feedback. It's like a loop. I say, do you like this? You say no. Do you like the other one? I said yes. I take the one you like, I create it for you, I see how you use it, I use it to develop another product, and vice versa. And then you also say, okay, I like this, I want this. So it's back and forth. It's the same thing. That's why there's exponential growth. It's a gain and win reward. That is gone.
Wow.
But, or like I said, alternative media formats, content itself will be huge, but formats will change. Very dynamic.
So, okay, sorry, let's just take a very short break. When you come back from the break, I'll take Lami's question. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you're just tuning in, we are discussing the implications of Twitter ban on the Nigerian digital economy and advertising. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Biko, that's all. SMS or WhatsApp.
Hey, that's strange. No, Elsie said she had a follow-up
question. Yeah, a follow-up question. Okay, so all right. Let me come to Elsie.
Yeah, when you were talking, you said something about black web, right? And the way it is now, because Twitter is banned in Nigeria, you can classify it as a black web, right? And it means that for brands that want to be politically correct, they might not want to associate, right? Naturally. So how do they begin to gauge the conversations on there? Because Twitter will still have an impact, whether you like it or not. The conversation, the trend table is still working. Everything is still going on, especially for those who still want to be there. So the impact on brand will still be there. If a brand does something that doesn't work properly and someone comes there to start a conversation, there's also a ripple effect, yeah? So how do they gauge that as well, maybe invisibly, and also ensure that they're doing the right thing in terms of, like you said, market analysis with digital?
Are you asking now if the ban is lifted, right?
The ban is not lifted.
How the brands will do?
Yeah.
Like I said, the fact is we are within a certain market space or geography. So you can't like say I want to use a platform in Accra or Dakar to communicate, because I have to communicate my product and services to people within a certain zone. Yeah. Otherwise, the key thing would be, let me talk to my friend in Accra. They will help me because Twitter is on anyway, whether they like it or not. But it's not the same thing. So, like I said, the only thing is you definitely have to leverage other platforms. And we know those platforms already. But content formats, methodology will change. Tracking tools and platforms already exist within all of those things we mentioned. We use them, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's TikTok. We have tracking tools for those, and those things exist already. But the thing is, brands have leveraged what I call the traditional four horsemen, the big boys: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. WhatsApp has been innovating a lot recently. It's going to skyrocket. Clubhouse is going to skyrocket. We already have different rooms for anything you want. When you talk about beauty and healthcare, it's there. Education, kiddie stuff. Now, a lot of brands are going to go there. But you need to have engaging conversations. So what kind of content would you create there? Because you're talking about a specific niche group of people. Now, Twitter is like what I call mass market. Even as it were, we were already looking at the long-form strategy for Twitter, because it had to go through a curve. Now, we have what we call mass customization. And those platforms already do those kind of things. So let me take an example. Brand X is into fashion, right? Now, using one of those platform example, I will curate 3 different experiences: luxury, fashion, for big-sized fashion, and maybe kiddies fashion. And then I create unique, bespoke content for those 3, rather than throwing it one form, one type of ad, one type of video format, one type of poster. So if I spend maybe $1 million a year for Twitter, for example, in sharing one particular TV ad or one particular format, I might have to do $2 to $3 million and do 15 pieces of content curated specifically for different things. Then I track, look at the ones that are measuring up, and then invest more in those kind of things, depending on the kind of responses. Now, I'm just talking about one format. I can adopt that strategy for YouTube. So the thing is, it makes us actually more ingenious and innovative. It's forced us to do, what was the word? Rather than look at it that what has happened has taken us 20 years back, I think it will make us leapfrog 3 years ahead. That's the way to look at it. That's what the pandemic. That's what the pandemic.
Oh, you are with me. You see why we are together?
Yes. So my question is going to be that in the event that the ban is lifted, what's the future for Twitter, or probably social media as a whole? What do you think is going to be the future?
I think it's still going to be very huge. The only thing you have to embrace evolution. It's never going to be business as usual. It's going to change. It's not going to be Twitter as usual. Before now, we were now doing Twitter Spaces and everything about evolving. For Nigerian specific market, I think brands, individuals, especially SMEs and startups, have smartened up that they can't leverage and rely on these things anymore. It will force them to curate and develop their own experiences away from certain kinds of regulations, whether it's a physical relationship, whether it's creating their own thing on their website, but they're going to start creating those things. Look at, for example, Trump was banned, he's launching his own social media platform. How is he doing it? That's a big case study for every other person. I'm not saying it's the best case study, but it's a case study that you need to curate away from the popular forms and curate your own models and then invest it and promote it. That's you're making everyone individual now think like a startup. Not startup for products and services now, but startup for social media.
Yes.
Hold on. But if a Nigerian, right, creates a platform, right, and it works, and it's working, what is the assurance that your government will not do? No, you cannot leave it, because the thing is, you think you can have a forward economy without having good policies that would back that economy.
You definitely need that.
So I mean, if somebody comes up and does it, and then it gets as big as Twitter, and people can have mass market conversation.
Can we first of all have that first? Is that a possibility? Yes. Is that a possibility first?
It is.
For us to be able to say, you know what? Because I love what you said. For me, I do not see a disadvantage in all of this things that are happening.
It's a plus.
Me, I'm just looking at numbers, because there is money apparently in this business. So where are the tech guys in Nigeria to create this? So we know our government. We know who we are dealing with, right? Let's keep that one aside. But is there a possibility for us to create this platform that would match up Twitter? Because Nigeria is a huge market.
Yes.
And we can't truly depend on. See,
The
China,
answer is always
like, okay,
yes.
what I said earlier when we started the show, I said that the reason I feel that the government were not thinking straight, they didn't get it right. In China does not allow WhatsApp. But they have a chat. They have what they have created that empowers their economy. So if the government was looking at this conversation from an economic angle to say, you know what, future forward, to say, you know what, how can we build this money that Twitter is making? How can we make it, within, and let it be Nigerian owned, Nigerian grown? Then I would have a conversation with them.
I don't agree with you.
No, there are the implications. The implications for both sides. We can't say one side is totally right or wrong. But the thing is, there's what you call progress. We must progress. There must be that stage of moving forward. After we always say #we move. Let's see what's next. But I can tell you for free what's next, that Yabacon, which is our own Silicon Valley, they already started doing strategy development on this. The second it happened.
Which is why
I trust our guys.
Which is why I'm saying the question is not whether we can. Nigerians and the youth we have and the people we have in tech can. The question is, because you and I understand that policies, this whole drama is not because they are looking at it economically.
They just want to gag us.
The point is, you cannot have a certain conversation. You cannot say this. You cannot not support us. You cannot not be, and you cannot.
You can't criticize.
You understand?
It's gonna
so the same thing would happen even if it's homegrown, and it will be worse. So if we do not tackle it now, and you think you get an economy from this, then maybe we are all daydreaming, especially with this government.
So we have to tackle what she's saying. What I think she's saying is that we have to tackle the root cause of it rather than running to another platform. Because if you run to another platform,
and what is the root problem?
The root problem is that we are
you have to ask that question very well. What is the root
very
problem?
highly
Sentiment?
Dictatorial and oppressive government. So if we don't get them out of the picture,
I think if we look at it very well, I think there's what you call a death. How would I put it? I think there's the thinking is what you call, maybe it's ephemeral. It's not as deep as you should. You've reacted on something without looking at the cyclical implications. And that's fine. But what about all of the institutions that are supposed to help, guide, nurture, protect? But we have institutions, solid institutions on youth, corporate responsibility, culture. Everyone is silent while this is going on. We have, people, individuals, entire systems driving those things. But it's not. So when you ask that question, I understand what you're saying, but those people are going to create those things nevertheless. Within the ambience of regulations, within the four walls of regulations and things that guide it. Now, if the government is interested, they will go in. Like the way, for example, look at the growth in the fintech industry. They started up themselves, and now you're taxing them based on, I love what they're doing, their interest. So those things are going to happen. Twitter is because it's very visible and it's huge. Now you're going to have mini Twitter forms. And then when Twitter is unbanned, it's going to have huge competition. So in effect, it's going to have solid competition in its hand in the next probably 12 to 2 years, 12 months to 2 years on its hand. Now, the core issue, again, I look at it is, I think we need what you call an innovation driver that is not party inclined, that is not regional inclined, and all of those things that actually draw us back and say, I'm a representative of the government and I believe in innovation. Yeah. Whether it's youth, culture, fashion, beauty, design, and I'm the voice of all of this. And so if I see this, and I become like a steward for youth ambassadorship back to the government. I don't really think the individuals or the custodians put right now in place are the best people. That's my own view. And it's not a knock. It's not a knock at anyone.
Yes, in different ways.
It's the truth. And that kind of individual has to come from within, from those people that actually believe, drive, and understand the system. It can't be someone that is politically appointed and then is trying to put it. You have to be able to take the knocks and the love that go with it. And you can't do it if you feel you don't want to offend someone who has put you into that place. Not everything is going to be as sweet as usual. And if those actually, on the Twitter space or social media or the entrepreneurs, if they do wrong, you also have to be able to, take the blame, take the knocks, and learn from it. So I'm not saying any one side is wrong or wrong, but I believe all of us as human beings, we have to have empathy. Empathy for the government in terms of also trying to create a responsible system and platform. But more also, those people who not only use it to make money, we're just talking about the brands and advertising. What about those that use it to express themselves? Those that don't have anything else. They just vent. Yeah. But that's where they vent. And they go back to their saying, what would have happened last year if there was no Twitter? People will be on the street continuously. There's nothing not to share. After you voice out, like you talk, then you get angry. Then you go, they listen, maybe they hear, let me go out, go listen to it. But now, I'm boiling inside. There's no way to express it. I can't shout at anybody. That becomes a form of mental...
Crime would increase.
Suicide
would increase.
It has a deep... It's a deep bent itself.
Because they've always blamed Twitter for being the reason for the protests. But now you're saying that was even an avenue for people to vent, and we didn't have as much people as we should have on the streets.
I was going to ask you a question, but I just lost my line of thought.
So our network is glitching. We'll be coming to that WhatsApp, but there were messages coming, but I can't find it now. Okay. So I was going to say to you that what would be a reasonable direction, right, as a way forward if the government is watching now? How would you advise? Because for me, honestly speaking, Twitter. I mean, we had a conversation around Nollywood. And I remember the guest specifically said Twitter. And when Genevieve got the deal with Lionheart and Netflix, Nigerians went on Twitter and said, it's too much now, I can do it for less. The truth is that we are not responsible, Nigerians. And I'm adding myself, we're not responsible with the kind of information that we put out there about ourselves, right? So what would be a reasonable way forward, right? If they give us all the conditions, they come out with Twitter and all of that, what do you think a way forward would be? I would say this is an opportunity for other platforms to rise. So we can now start to build homegrown side by side with the Twitter. But let me hear your expert opinion. No, now you have remembered what you want to say.
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Does Z think that we are ripe enough for...
social media?
No, I mean for regulation. Do you think social media should be regulated?
I think it should be. I think any responsible government, even as a business individual, you should embrace. It's not something you should run away from. Why would you want to run away from? Except you're trying to do something freaky or something. But I think it's fine. But again, social media should have its own setting space. It's not the way you would, the kind of regulations you put on the traditional MBC. Yeah. There's a reason it's called social media. The terms social. I'm supposed to be engaged, be liberal, be free. But I'm not supposed to just, cuss at someone. I can say I don't like you, but I'm not supposed to say something that will make you feel less of yourself.
You think you have the right to insult me?
Yes, no, you shouldn't do that.
It's too much.
So that is why I said I would welcome it, but not ban it was a total far departure. But of course, we'll welcome regulations. But you guys go do your things, like parents in the house. Make sure you don't go to the swimming pool without my guidance, but play, feel free, enjoy yourselves. That's Big Brother. That's the federal government. That's what the Ministry of Communications and Youth is supposed to pursue. And we should also abide and respect those rules. Play, do your thing, communicate, vent, chat, talk, but don't insult, don't disparage individuals. Yes, so we'll definitely do that, yes.
Quite a number of children, especially in Europe, are committing suicide because of social media.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think it should
So yes, I agree.
I've seen people that go to commit crimes, do so many things because of what they read on social media. So there's a bad influence, and we need to be honest with ourselves, right? I mean, Nigeria is a beautiful place. We have so many wonderful things. As we're having good things, we're also having very bad things. But I'm saying that every time you go on Twitter, there's so much bitterness, there's so much, there's so much, it's too much. At some point, you need to also control your mental space. I'm saying. So that's why a lot of people left Twitter for them. They left Twitter for them. It's true.
You could say that. Sorry, you could say that for the daily newspapers.
Yeah.
If you read the daily newspapers every day, you would have hypertension in 3 days.
No.
So it's the same thing. As long as news is put out there, you can't say you're going to run from it. You can't say curate it and send me what you like. No. Which is why we have things like Flipboard, and you have other platforms where you select the kind of stories and content you want. It curates it for you. But on a mass market product, you can't say create for me. That's your responsibility to say, I'm going to follow this hashtag. It's as long as you're over 18 years old, you should be able to do that. So you can't put that blame on Twitter. Neither can you do that on the government.
But how do they measure the ages of people that come on Twitter?
No, you're supposed to.
13, from the ages of 13, from the ages of...
They
how
lie.
do they measure it? Yeah, because children actually go on it, and there's still where they can know. So it's part of the problems I have with social media. The age control.
Well, I think for children that go on is they actually lie about
the age because you're supposed to put a certain age.
So I think there should be more stringent control.
Let's go back home.
I don't think that should come from the social. I think that should come from parental and guidance because they have a role to play in that as well.
Twitter, they don't ban it.
When it's on ban, right?
It is evil.
When it's on ban.
There's no money to be made on Twitter.
What's your problem?
They have banned it, and that's where we are. Me and Lai Mohammed, we are together. We are gone, but we are not.
So frankly, tell me.
Yes.
So when they eventually lift the ban, how do we make money there?
There's a lot of ways, man. There's a lot of ways. The first thing is, what story do you have to tell? What's your story? You can make a story. You can make money as your personal brand. You can make it for your organization, promoting your products and services. You can make it by creating a platform that people are interested in. If you, for example, you're talking about this mental stuff, it's big in Europe, in Asia. We have brands and individuals also promoting it, but we need stronger, more purposeful platforms. So I believe we live in the age of purpose, like what you call the purpose economy. So I would ask you, what's your purpose? Create a purpose platform for the mental, for mental those that are this thing, or something that promotes empathy or kindness, and drive that. I'll tell you, there are brands waiting for those kind of things. So it's not about drink and dance and party and stuff. There are other things that you can talk about, creating something that helps with, mental wellness, and acuity and developing your faculties. And I believe those things can be amplified, and brands are looking for those things to help drive, growth and development in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Did we just get the message? One came up.
So finally, the
network was bad. Okay. Okay. This is our in-house conversation. We'll do that later. Thank you so much. All right. So thank you so much, Franklin. I think we've had a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, we have.
We will try, because tomorrow we want to talk about the Twitter again, but on a different angle. Now tomorrow is our turn to vent. We'll now open the phone line for people out in because I think a lot of people are just very emotional about this thing. It was important that we set the stage, with you, and I think you really balanced the conversation. So it's not just enough for you to government. Make we separate things and do it right.
Correct.
That's all. Yeah. So ladies, you have any final comments?
We'll say tomorrow. Join us at 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m.
Right,
tomorrow we want to hear.
You do ask me.
Okay, please.
Okay,
I said ladies now.
I don't know.
Tell me.
No, my own is lady lawyer.
Lady lawyer.
To be very candid with you, I'm not very social media savvy.
Yeah.
So I'm just struggling with the conversation.
So really? It's not interesting to you.
It's not. I really cannot. I can't feel what people are feeling towards Twitter. I wish I could.
What's your best platform you're using right now? Which platform? Yes.
Any platform.
I don't.
Social media.
She's a lawyer. Word of mouth. Referral.
And I just started thinking of migrating to online to be more visible online. I just started. I would start with Instagram. I wish I could feel what people are feeling. I wish.
Well, some people are like you actually. I haven't started making money on social media, so when I start making money, maybe I would have felt it. But some people are feeling it.
Some people are.
All right, so before we go, do ensure to follow us on Instagram. At PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment. Most importantly, we're planning a huge giveaway to say thank you to you for watching and believing in the Ways brand. So follow the conversation on Instagram.
Hey!
You have to get used to it.
Hey. So do well to follow us, like, share, invite your friends, and don't watch the show alone. Always invite people to watch the show with you. What? So we said tomorrow we're talking Twitter again. We're doing a part 2 of Twitter, but just us ladies. So we look forward to that conversation. So remember, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow. That's on Bill Gates. To swear. We'll see you live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy. Thank you.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Did you know that another meaning for the term PhD is pull her down? It's often said that women do not support one another, hence the term PhD. But we're here to weigh in on that argument and to ask if the mere existence of that term is derogatory in itself. I have the women in the lounge, Ebun Olatoye. I know, I always call you Ebun Olatoye because I knew you as a writer and I was in love with you as a writer, but you are Ebun Peludu.
Yes, don't let my husband catch you.
Yes, I know, right? Ebun is a media consultant and a serial entrepreneur. Right now, she's in love with coconuts, and I think this is where we're going to bond. She runs a coconut factory, and they make all sorts, you know, with her children. That's beautiful. That's amazing.
Thank
We
you.
also have Mrs. Ifoma Idigbe. She is she's a finance and HR consultant, analyst really, and she has a foundation called the Boys to Men Foundation. That in itself is worth double toiles because in a world where we're talking about women supporting women, which is great, we have women who have said there's a gap. We're supporting women to the detriment of the men.
Yes,
to the detriment of the boys.
Absolutely.
For that reason, we salute you, Mel.
And she's Mama Boys. As a Mama Boys, I'm super grateful.
She understands these things. Of course, Adesoa Oyenokwe is here, publisher at TW Magazine and producer. She's the life of the party, always. And our guests. Hello, Eno Essien.
Hi.
Eno is very interesting. Eno recovers stolen vehicles.
Wow.
She has a vehicle tracking company, and she also, there's one thing that I'm missing. Eno she runs a fleet management, so she does fleet management. So you're in a field that is predominantly male, but it looks like you're doing well. We're going to talk about that some more. I'm Omoye Uzamire. I'm an actor and a producer. I like to throw around that I studied law, just so people won't think that, this is just acting. But really, wherever there's performance and production, you'll find me. Whether it's writing, behind the scenes, set, props, but performance and production, that's me. Anyway, we're here at TW Conversations. We'll be right back.
Actually, I just wonder, though, whether, as we are gathered here, and I think we are women, in all honesty...
You think we're women?
I do. Honestly, for my in all honesty, can we stand up and say women don't really support women?
I wouldn't say that. I think that there's always a lot of focus on what women do. So if a woman does something, look at Serena Williams, for example, yelling at the umpire. They doctor points, they doctor game. Men do that all the time. What was John McEnroe, So it's not a new thing. But when women are doing things, there's a spotlight that's put on it. So if a woman doesn't support a woman, a lot of noise is made about it. Men are more virulent in their attacks than women can ever be. They're hard business people. They take advantage. So I think it's unfair to say that. But I also do think that women sometimes feel insecure when they're in position. And so they don't respond in a way that you might expect them to respond. But I don't think it has anything to do with women not supporting women per se.
So my question is, where did this come from in the first place? Where did that start from? There has to be, they say there's no smoke without fire.
It's true.
So is it that women are very hard on themselves? I mean, if as a woman, there's a younger girl that I'm mentoring. I said, did I say as a woman? As a woman. And I'd have someone who I'm mentoring. I'll be hard on her because I want her to be better. I see potential in her. So that could be another way to look at it. We feel that women are hard on one another because they want them to be better.
Yeah, but are you?
I think I would phrase it this way. I think successful women support each other. Successful women wants a successful man wants the other woman to do very well. That's what I see. I find that the women who bring the other women down are women who don't really have it going very well for them. So maybe it's a bit of envy, but successful women support women. So it's not totally women don't support each other. I believe that successful women support fellow successful women.
I don't know. I said this also, I think we're having a chat on Sunday. I said, I don't think that you can take
Having a chat where?
On Sunday, weren't we? Okay. You can't take one brushstroke and take it for all women.
Right.
Every woman is an individual. I hear people say to me, oh, in this women's organization, they're this way towards women or this way towards people.
I can't even say the names of some organizations.
No, I won't do that. And I belong to so many women's organizations, and I believe that what you take out of a women's organization is what you put in.